Okay, so today we're going to do some notes on photosynthesis, and another process is called respiration. We're going to get into that a little bit more, but this is going to give you a good description as to what it is. Okay, so you have your notes page with the fill in the blanks in front of you. As usual, fill them in as we go. Okay, so what is photosynthesis? You do have a lot of good background information. Photosynthesis is a process that occurs in mostly plants, but also there are some other types of living things that it uses it, like algae and things like that. It is nothing more than a chemical reaction. But it is one of the most important chemical reactions on our planet. And after these notes, hopefully you'll have a better understanding as to why that is. Okay, so anytime you see here it says equation, it's kind of like in math class. When you see the word equation, it's something plus something equals something. Well, in science we use a lot of those same words, except you're going to notice a couple differences. So as you can see down here, you have to start with carbon dioxide, and you have to add water to it. But as you know, it's not enough to have a plant exposed to carbon dioxide and you water it. If it sits in the dark, nothing's going to happen. So you have to have light energy. This is where the difference comes into play in science class. You're going to see an arrow instead of an equal sign. When we say this out loud, you don't say arrow, you say yields. Glucose and oxygen. So if I were to read this whole thing to you, you would see carbon dioxide plus water and light energy yields glucose plus oxygen. Oxygen is considered a byproduct, meaning it is something that the plant makes, but it can't use it. It's kind of an extra benefit, or it's waste, technically, for the plant. Okay, so here's another way that we will write this out, and this is typically how you see chemical reactions. So when you take chemistry, this is how you're going to see something's written. So you notice you have a lot of numbers on here now. You have 6 molecules of CO2, which CO2, as we know, is carbon dioxide, plus 6 molecules of H2O, which is water, yields this really big molecule, C6H12O6, which is the molecule for glucose, plus 6 molecules of oxygen. And here it is written out for you. So again, fill it in as your notes as we go. Okay, so 6 molecules of carbon dioxide react with 6 molecules of water to form 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. Now there's something in here that I want you to notice that there's not written in that there should be. Do you see anywhere in here where it mentions light? Unfortunately not. Sometimes you'll see it written, they'll have a plus right after the water here, and they'll write plus light, or you'll have light written here up at the top. Okay? But just understand that even though it's not written in there that you have to have light, you do have to have light for photosynthesis to occur. Okay, so describing photosynthesis. The process of changing light energy into chemical energy. It's all about energy. Energy can take multiple forms. It just has to be in a useful form. You can think of it as having, electricity is generated from moving water. There is energy in moving water, but I can't go stick my hand in a flowing river and get electrocuted. It's a different type of energy. I have to change it into useful energy. Energy is stored as glucose. Glucose is one type of sugar. You will also hear it talked about how glucose is a very simple sugar, and it really is. Okay, photosynthesis occurs in plants and some algae. The green goopy stuff that gets in ponds, that's algae, or in your fish tank. Plants need light energy, CO2, and H2O. So if I asked you what 3 things do all plants need for photosynthesis, you would tell me they would need light, they need carbon dioxide, and they need water. So now where exactly does this happen? It takes place in the chloroplast, which is a particular organelle or part of a plant cell, using something called chlorophyll I don't know what this is. Okay, go away. Oh, jeez. Okay, sorry about all that. So anyway, and it does it again. It's going to take place in the chloroplast using chlorophyll, which is the green pigment in a plant. And that's what we were trying to find last week when we looked at the stuff under the microscopes. Okay, so what happens during photosynthesis? Plants capture light energy and use that energy to make glucose. We're going to talk about exactly how that happens here in a second. Sunlight provides the energy needed by chlorophyll to change molecules of carbon dioxide and water into molecules of glucose. It's kind of like turning on the stove, turn the burner on the stove to generate the heat to cook your macaroni and cheese. Well, that's what the sunlight does. Oxygen is also released in this reaction. So how that works, carbon dioxide, which is floating around in the air, enters the leaf through holes in the leaf called stomata. Not stigmata, but stomata. CO2 combines with the stored energy in the chloroplast through a chemical reaction to make glucose. Okay. Sugar is moved through tubes in the leaf to the root, stem, and fruits of the plant. So just like how human beings have a cardiovascular system that travels, that the blood travels through, there's tubes within the plants that go to the leaf, to the roots, to the stems, and to the fruit that travel, that have this sugar carried all throughout them. Some of the sugar is used right away by the plant for energy. Some of it is stored as starch, and some is built into the plant tissue itself. Okay. So why do we need to know about photosynthesis? Why is this important to us? Well, we cannot make our own food. And that doesn't mean that you can't go home and cook your food and make your own food that way. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you just standing out in the middle of the yard doing absolutely nothing for days and days and days, not eating anything or drinking anything. You cannot make your own food. Your body can't survive. You would starve. So since we cannot make our own food, we have to get our food from plants. And whether it's directly you're eating a plant or you're eating something that has eaten a plant, you are getting your food from plants. Plants are the first step in the food chain, besides the sun, of course. The oxygen released during photosynthesis is necessary for all living things. The majority of the oxygen generated on this planet is generated in the rainforest. Think about it. Rainforest, lots of plants, lots of photosynthesis going on, lots of energy being produced. Okay, so there is a website. You can go check that out. It's on your notes page if you have questions. Okay, so cellular respiration. This is not like your cells have a set of lungs and they breathe in and out, although it does have something to do with oxygen. This is the release of chemical energy for use by cells. Okay, so what happens is once the energy that in sunlight is changed into a chemical energy or glucose by photosynthesis, that living thing has to transform the chemical energy into a form that can be used by the organism. Okay, so it's kind of like if you go to the grocery store and buy all the stuff to make lasagna, you still have to put it all together to actually make lasagna. This process is called cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is the breakdown of glucose molecules to release the energy needed for the cell to do the work. So this is where you're going to take the glucose that you've made and break it down. As you break chemical bonds, you're going to release energy. This thing takes place in all living things. Cellular respiration is in plants, it's in algae, it's in dogs, it's in humans, it's in ducks, it's in bacteria. Every living thing goes through cellular respiration. Plants and algae are the only ones that go through photosynthesis. Okay, so when we consume our food, our bodies break it down into glucose molecules, and then those glucose molecules go from there. It is a step-by-step process, and it's a very involved process. We are just going to touch the surface of it today. So, like with photosynthesis, there's a chemical equation that goes for cellular respiration. And just like with the other one, we're going to start simple and then work our way into the more complex one. Okay, so as you see here, we've got lots of things going on. Remember, the arrows mean yield. Okay, so what I've got is I start with glucose and oxygen, and it's going to yield two things. It's going to yield energy, and it's also going to yield carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so when they say if you talk to your plants, they grow better, well, they do grow better because we are breathing out carbon dioxide on them. Okay, and so then here you go. C6H12O6 is glucose, whoops, sorry, plus oxygen yields carbon dioxide plus water. Okay, so here's a website you can go check out, and that is it. Thank you very much.